Hey everyone, you're watching the Esperanza 243. This is Long Live Menavia Part 19. I will get to the book in a few minutes. I got a few things to tell you guys about. If you haven't noticed, behind me is the bookcase that my dad made. It's pretty cool. It is, here we go again. It's actually the perfect shade of whatever color that is, because it's the color between my chest and my other bookcase. Really cool. It's also perfect. My dad did an awesome job. Also, the new game of Nancy Drew is out. It is called Ghost of Thornton Hall. Play it! It's awesome! Her Interactive's new interface for this is freaking awesome. Everything is easy access, and all the tasks in the task list have hints. Awesome. I actually used that a lot actually in this game and the other game that has it. And that one's called The Deadly Device, and The Deadly Device is a murder mystery. But the subject of the whole thing is Nikola Tesla. Yeah! So for all of you motor fans, for all of you magic fans, check it out. It's awesome. And for this one, if you guys like ghosts and kidnappings, this is for you. It's really cool. What's that poem? Dear sweet Charlotte. No. Fire so red. Night so black. Please, sweet Charlotte, come back. I think that's how it goes. It's pretty cool, and I've actually sent out a fan letter to someone with the nickname Little Jackalope. If you follow the Amateur Sleuth blog hosted by Her Interactive, you know what I'm talking about. Because she actually Little Jackalope did a blog yesterday about getting fan letters, and she actually posted a picture of the envelope. Both sides were so well decorated, and it was so cute and all. She half expected glitter popping out and having cookies and stuff like that. It's pretty funny. So I decided to help her what's the term? Appease at least two of the three things. Oh, the letter to be written in crayons. I did that. I think she's gonna like it. I digressed a couple times, but I'm sure she doesn't mind, because then she'll think of that game, what was it, Creature of Capu Cave. Anyways, to the book. Let's do a quick little recap. Let's see. Caprice came to Senor Baldwin's house after there was an attempt kidnapping on her. And she asked him to finish the training for Senor Pujadas' dinner. And he does so. And after a few days, on the day of the dinner, she confronts Senor Baldwin about why he wanted to train her in the first place, and then he gives her the envelope that has the two letters. Excuse me. And that's where we are. Caprice nimbly flipped over the envelope. She saw the seal. What is this? He looked at her. It is the royal seal of Menavia, he replied matter-of-factly. She nervously sighed. Slowly, she opened it and read one of the letters. It was from Senor Chevalier. She became shocked. Tears started to fill her eyes. Then she gasped and grabbed her chest, almost touching the locket. Tears fell down her cheeks. She could barely smile. Caprice felt like she was going to fall. She tried grabbing something. The senor lightly grabbed her hand and pulled her to a couch. She sat down. He numbly sat down next to her. He sighed. Monsieur Chevalier must have been very kind. Her words almost came out in chokes. Senor Baldwin looked down and sighed heavily. He was a special man. He was a loyal subject to them. She looked at him with wide eyes. You mean he was the one who claimed them dead? He nodded. She looked down as well. I wonder if they are dead. She wiped the tears off her face. Then she pulled out the other letter. She didn't have to read it to know who wrote it. She knew the handwriting. Tears filled her eyes again. Mom? She read the letter. She imagined hearing her mother's voice as she read it in her mind. To Monsieur Baldwin, here we deliver a precious girl to you. She was raised by my husband and me. Should she come alone to you with this letter, it means we are dead, whether by choice or no. We raised her well and proper. My husband and I did our best to raise a royal princess. She is kind, faithful, sensitive, and compliant. By the time you read this, we hope she is older than 15. Now that we are gone, someone shall need to make certain she is ready. If you do not believe our child is a princess of Menavia, do read the letter enclosed. We received this letter when she was a baby. She was a gift, a very wonderful gift, I am happy to say. We love her dearly, so do be kind to her. She has not let us down. I am certain she will not let you down. Please train her well, treat her as well as you can. Faithful followers of Meltrova and Menavia. Once again, tears fell down her cheeks. She cried. They knew and never told me. She leaned her head on Senor Baldwin's shoulder. I can't believe it. You saw inside the locket before, correct? She nodded. Would that make Louisa my grandmother? He nodded. His sadness became grief. Caprice closed her eyes and took a deep breath. He sighed. A few minutes later, he could hear her breathing lightly through her nose. She was asleep. That was when a servant entered the room. He hesitated of whether to do his duty. The senor beckoned him to come. The servant came to him. Would you mind getting a light blanket for me? He whispered softly. His servant bowed his head and went in search of a blanket. He came back in a matter of minutes. The senor told him to hold on as he carefully got up and gently let Caprice lie down. He took the blanket from him and told his servant to shoo. Then he unfolded the blanket and covered the dear princess. and then moved her to a different room. She slept for 1.5 hours. When she woke, she felt better. She felt depressed, but better than before. She sighed and looked around. No one was in the room. She got up and decided to walk around the room. That was when Caprice realized someone moved her to the foyer. She saw the portraits of her royal family. She sighed. "Oh, Mother, I feel so empty inside," she whispered, looking at Luisa and then Princess Mariona. "I don't know what to do." Suddenly, someone behind her touched Princess Luisa's portrait. Caprice gasped and jumped at the same time. She turned toward the person. It was her, the woman from the hotel. She had the same face, wearing the same cloak. The woman looked lonely. One look in her eyes convinced Caprice something else. She held a deep secret. The woman looked at her. "Est-ce que je vous connais?" she whispered to Caprice. She spoke French, like before. She looked at her with searching eyes. Caprice looked at Princess Mariona's portrait and touched it lightly. "Non, mais vous connaissez ma mère?" The woman looked at the portrait she touched and looked at her once more. Her eyes widened. Caprice looked at her. She then told her that she was one of her grandchildren. Princess Luisa smiled softly. The deep secret look in her eyes faded away. "My best aunts me no more," Luisa whispered in French. The next second, someone entered the foyer. Caprice gasped as she turned to the person. The Signor jumped with wide eyes. "Oh, Caprice, you're up. Good. That's good." It was quiet for a moment. "How are you feeling?" "I feel sad, yet happy." She turned to her side to look at Luisa, but she was gone. She looked around in confusion. "Is something wrong?" She looked at him. No, everything is fine." She smiled. He smiled in response. "I was coming in to wake you." She became confused. "I believe you have an hour and a half until we leave for Bruno's dinner tonight." She gasped. "Oh, dear me. I better get ready then." She was about to pass him, leaving the foyer, but she stopped before passing by. She looked at him. "May I keep the envelope? And the letters?" He nodded with a slight smile. After that, she rushed to her hotel room to get ready. She decided to make a special dress for the occasion earlier that week. When she finished making it, the dress was proper and not too eye-catchy, but very pretty. Perfect. My knee hurts like heck. I hurt my ankle a couple weeks ago, sprained it while roller skating. My coworkers are making fun of me about it, telling me I should stop roller skating. No way, Jose. Alright. Caprice was wearing her finest. There were many people at Senor Pujadas's dinner, 10 men and women. Men were a majority. The women were either companions or wives. One woman in particular had arrived unaccompanied. Senor Pujadas was careful when it came to placing Caprice. He placed her at least 3 chairs away from him. She couldn't help but wonder if he did that on purpose. The dinner was a 3-course meal. For the first course, they ate smoked ham and pâtés. For the main course was gigot, or gigot, I don't know how it's pronounced. For the main course was gigot, or the legs of mutton, with haricots verts, also known as green beans. After that, salads were served. Wait a second. Well, then it would be a 4-course meal if dessert's going to be included. Oops. Caprice tried to mingle in other conversations, but it was hard. She didn't know anyone except Señor Pujadas. Once or twice she felt like shouting that she was the daughter of Princess Mariona, but she knew that was too risky. Miss Caprice, one of the guests called to her. He was a well-known lord. She looked at him. Yes, Lord Galliano? How did you meet Señor Pujadas? He chuckled. You couldn't have bumped into him without some of his flattery. You are quite right, she said with a smile. I met him through a mutual friend of ours. He raised his brows with curiosity. I would like to meet this mutual friend. Señor Pujadas suddenly intruded in the conversation to prevent her from humiliation. I believe you have met him, Galliano, he told them with a sly grin. Well, that's a surprise. Who is he? I want to thank him for introducing you to. Otherwise, this dinner would be less satisfying of such beauty in this room. He picked up his wine glass and took a sip. She blushed. Caprice was glad he intruded. It meant she was right to be brief. Lord Galliano, I shall tell him you said that. He smiled. Then someone close by to her spoke up. Miss Caprice, I do believe you look rather familiar. Yes, you do. Other guests commented. She sighed. I've been hearing that a lot since I arrived. A well-known Menavian person sitting across from her snapped her fingers. I got it! You look like Princess Mariona. Suddenly, it was quiet. Señor Pujadas clenched his jaw. He knew someone would notice something about her resemblance, but he didn't think they would actually say it. He unclenched his jaw and pretended it was a joke. What? I think that is hilarious. She doesn't have her jaw. She certainly doesn't have her ears. Look at that. She has different eye color. Caprice had wide eyes. She was becoming frightened of the situation. She looked at Signor Bruno. Noticing he had an odd smile, she realized he did that to remove the suspicions and resemblance. A couple other guests said a few more contrasting descriptions. Then everyone started laughing. She forced herself to laugh along. As everyone was laughing, the salad dishes were taken away. The guests calmed down as the dessert was served. Now and then someone would be giggling when they looked at Caprice. After dessert, everyone seemed to relax a bit. Would any of you men care to join me in the library for a good conversation? Señor Pujadas asked his guests. Some men nodded their heads. I am afraid I must be going home. The missus is rather tired, one of them said. Yes, I believe so, some of the men added. Terribly sorry, old friend, others told him. Very well, Señor Pujadas said. I bid you farewell. I shall see some of you soon. One of the men looked at his wife. She gave him a look. I would like to stay. Do you remember the discussion I told you earlier? She whispered to him. He nodded. After that, the men and women who decided to leave, got up and headed out the front door to their rides. The women who were staying with their men stayed in their seats. The rest of the guests headed to the library. Caprice got out of her seat and walked toward him. One of his friends beat her to him. "Bruno, dear, you should come over sometime. One of my new servants can make tarte aux pommes, and it is to die for." He smiled. "I might do that." He saw Caprice in the corner of his eye. "Excuse me." She nodded and headed back to the dining table. He walked to Caprice. And that is where I'll stop. That still didn't help. Oh, nope. Yep, that did it. I have this really cool lava lamp. I don't know if I told you this. I have this really cool lava lamp. And the other day, the blob was actually forming into an upside-down heart. It looked like a heart. I actually have a picture of it. I uploaded it on Facebook, and Peyton said it looked like a tongue. Just because I got the wrong angle of the shape. If I had snapped the picture 5 or 10 seconds earlier, I would have had a great shot of it. And then I turned it, and then the rest of the stuff just started forming into the original spots and blobs that it's supposed to look like. Blip, 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 blip. Alright, well that's it. I guess I will talk to you guys later. I hope you all have a good day. And if I don't see you, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. I love that line. This is DS Bronze 243, signing out.
Sometimes I have dreams. I picture myself flying above the clouds, high in the sky, conquering the world with my